Your dog knows when you're sad. Not because you told them, not because they read your face. Before you even realize it yourself, your dog has already moved closer, already pressed against your leg, already changed their behavior. Animals are reading us constantly. Every second you're near them, you are being analyzed. Your posture, your smell, your heartbeat, your tone of voice. They don't have language, but they have something older. And what they figured out about us over millions of years of watching, it's stranger, more flattering, and more uncomfortable than you'd ever expect.
Let's start with what animals actually know. Dogs, specifically, have been living alongside humans for at least 15,000 years, possibly 40,000. That's a very long time to study one species, and the research on what dogs have learned in that time is extraordinary. A 2016 study from the University of Lincoln found that dogs can distinguish human emotional expressions. They look longer at angry faces than happy ones, suggesting they understand the difference and perceive threat in anger. A 2018 study published in Learning and Behavior found that dogs recognize when a human is stressed, and their own cortisol levels rise in response. They don't just notice your stress, they feel it. But perhaps the most remarkable finding comes from how dogs use their eyes. Unlike wolves, their closest relatives, dogs have developed a muscle above their eye that allows them to make the puppy eyes expression. This muscle doesn't exist in wolves. It evolved specifically in dogs through living with humans because humans respond strongly to that expression. Dogs didn't just learn to read us, they evolved parts of their body specifically to communicate with us.
Cats are a completely different story, and honestly, a more unsettling one. Research suggests that cats are capable of forming strong emotional attachments to their owners, but they don't necessarily show it in ways humans expect. A 2019 study from Oregon State University found that cats display the same secure and insecure attachment patterns to their owners that human infants show toward their parents. Your cat is attached to you the way a child is attached to a parent. The difference? Cats don't much care if you know it. Here's what else cats have figured out. They meow almost exclusively at humans. Adult cats rarely meow at other cats. The meow, as we know it, is a communication developed specifically for interacting with humans.
A sound cats invented because they noticed that high-pitched sounds get human attention. They learned that we respond to certain frequencies, and they adapted their communication to exploit that. Cats also recognize their own names. Studies confirm this, but they frequently choose not to respond. What this tells researchers is remarkable. Cats understand the concept of ignoring someone. They know you're calling them, they have assessed the situation, and they have decided you're not worth the energy right now. They don't misunderstand you, they understand you perfectly and disagree. Perhaps the most extraordinary thing animals have learned about us is this. They can detect illness in our bodies before we experience symptoms. Dogs have been trained to detect certain cancers, including lung, colorectal, and ovarian cancers, with accuracy rates exceeding 90%. They do this through smell alone. Human bodies produce different volatile organic compounds when cells behave abnormally. Dogs can smell the difference between a healthy cell and a cancerous one. Cats have also been documented anticipating death in palliative care settings. A cat named Oscar became famous for curling up with patients in the final hours before their death, so reliably that staff began using his behavior as a clinical indicator. And elephants, in studies conducted in Kenya, have been shown to respond specifically to the scent and clothing of the Maasai people versus the Kamba people. They can distinguish between two groups of humans based on smell and color alone, and they remember this distinction across generations. Animals don't just know us as individuals, some of them know us as a species. Here's where it shifts from science to something more philosophically interesting. What do animals think of us? Not as biology, but as beings. Studies in animal cognition show that many animals have a concept of fairness. In a famous experiment by Franz de Waal, capuchin monkeys were paid cucumber slices for completing a task. They were happy with this until they saw another monkey receive a grape for the same task. The monkey receiving the cucumber immediately threw it back at the researcher. They noticed the injustice. They rejected the lesser reward not because they were hungry, but because they understood it was unfair. Crows remember individual human faces. Specifically, the faces of humans who have wronged them and will harass that person selectively, sometimes for years, while leaving others alone. They teach this to their offspring. Your negative reputation can follow you with crows across generations. Ravens have been shown to plan for the future, trade objects for better outcomes, and in one remarkable study, understand when they are being watched by a human through a peephole. They behave differently when observed, which means they have a theory of mind. They understand that other beings have perspectives, and they account for those perspectives in their behavior. And dogs, when given the choice between a person who has been unhelpful to their owner and a neutral person, will refuse food from the unhelpful person. They are making moral judgments. They're not just reading your mood. Some animals are evaluating your character. So what does all of this actually mean? If animals are reading us this accurately, if they can detect our stress, our illness, our fairness, what does that tell us about ourselves? A few things. First, we are more readable than we think. We believe we're good at hiding what we feel. We put on faces for social situations, we manage our expressions, we say we're fine when we're not. But the animals around us, especially the ones we've lived with for tens of thousands of years, see through all of it. Your dog is not fooled by your calm voice. Your body's telling a different story, and they're reading that one. Second, the things animals respond most strongly to in us, consistency, calmness, fairness, genuine safety, are not the things we're necessarily trying to project. We often project confidence, success, status. Animals respond to steadiness, to being reliably safe, to the absence of threat. The humans animals trust most are not necessarily the most impressive ones. They're the most consistent ones. Third, we have a reputation we don't control. Crows are telling each other about you. Elephants remember your group's history. Your dog's behavior around strangers reflects your behavior when you're stressed, and the strangers can read that reflection. You are being evaluated constantly by beings who have no reason to be polite about it and no capacity to be fooled by performance. The question isn't whether animals are thinking about us. They clearly are. The question is, are we worth thinking well of? Next time you're near an animal, your pet, a bird in the park, a horse, any animal that's had reason to observe humans, know that you are being read. Your stress, your honesty, your consistency, your character. They've had millions of years of practice, and unlike us, they don't have the social politeness to pretend they don't know what they're seeing. That was Curio. Subscribe if you want to keep asking the questions that nobody else is asking.